Every Saturday, 12-year-old Nora went to the town library. Loved scary stories. The older and scarier, the better. You want that one? She asked Nora. Yes, said Nora. It looks ancient. Inside the cover was a message written in faded ink. Don't read this book, it said, or you'll pay the price. Nora's heart skipped a beat. Was the book cursed? The librarian paused and then stamped it with a due date. Make sure you return it on time, she whispered. One day, she found a book with a cracked leather cover, no title, and it smelled like smoke and dust. The old librarian looked at the book with a mixture of fear and sadness. Nora didn't think much of it and ran home, excited to read her new book. But when she opened it, she found something strange. This is the scariest book I've ever read. The book was called Whispers from the Stacks, and it didn't have an author listed. Inside were handwritten stories about strange libraries, invisible shelves, and books that could whisper your name. Nora, late that night. As Nora read one of the stories aloud, she thought she heard a quiet voice in her room. She froze. Was it in her head? The wind? Her imagination? She laughed nervously and went to sleep. And why did it want her to return it? But the next night she heard it again. This time it was clearer. Nora, return the book. What? How did the book know her name? The next morning, she tried to return the book, but the librarian wasn't there. Substitute said no such book was listed in the system. In fact, the library didn't even own a book like that. At home, she found the book back in her bag. Suddenly, her lights flickered and her room grew cold. She turned and saw that the pages of the book were flipping on their own. Even though she was sure she left it on the desk, it was then she noticed a small print on the inside cover. The library may not own this book, but its pages are turning. And with that, the bookshelf began to shake. And from behind the shaking, she could just barely make out the words, "Happy Halloween." That night, the voice came back. Nora, the library never forgets. A note had appeared inside. If a book is not returned, the reader is. It's 2 a.m. and you're rereading this spooky story about a girl who didn't return a book, so listen up. Nora was late returning the book. She ran to the library, but it was closed. The doors were locked. But when she turned the knob, they opened on their own. As she walked through the aisles, the shelves seemed to lean towards her. She turned a corner and found a room she'd never seen before, a narrow hallway made entirely of books. The last thing she saw was her own name written in ink. She screamed the girl who didn't return the book. Inside, the building was dark and silent. At the end of the hallway stood a tall, shadowy figure with glowing eyes. It whispered, "You read